just because I have the liberty to stay home,
Yeah.
I don't stay home.
No, you do not.
Because I got a goal to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm on a time schedule,
Absolutely.
if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Thomas Roach, Director of Marketing with Senior Life Insurance Company. We're at the beautiful home office in Thomasville, Georgia. And like usual, we are all fired up. Today we have a very special guest, a friend of mine, Jesse. Jesse, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Thomas. Doing great. Thank you for having me here.
Definitely. I appreciate you coming out and taking time today. You are very close, fortunately. You're up just the road in Quincy, Florida, and you're working in Tallahassee as well. And we talked before, and we came down to Jacksonville, and the Pilcher Agency was doing a recruiting event, and you were there, and you spoke while we were there, and it was really amazing what you'd done. And you told in a really incredible story that I didn't know at the time about how you got into final expense and how, even though you didn't start with Senior Life still heavily influenced that decision. So how did that whole thing work? How did that happen?
Yeah, man, it was an awesome way it came together. It was back in 2013, and it was a Sunday morning. I was coming to Thomasville to visit a local church, and as I came in on 319, I saw this big, gigantic building, and at the time, I didn't realize it was the home office, Senior Life.
Right.
So as I glanced at it as I was driving, I said, man, I wonder what kind of building this is. I thought a courthouse, and then one time I thought it might be a big church.
Yes, yeah.
So I went on to church that day. We had church, and on the way from church, I said, well, I'm going to go see my mom who lived in Tallahassee, and she stayed out in an area called Mickasickie. And you can go up the Metcalf, Georgia road to cut through to get to Mickasickie.
Right.
So as I'm driving down the Metcalf, Georgia road, I looked to my left and saw this big, gigantic house. I said, wow, a millionaire must live here.
Right.
Because I have somewhat of a fascination with millionaires.
Right.
So I did a U-turn in the street, pulled up at the front of the driveway,
Right.
and wrote down the street name, because this guy had a sign at the foot of his street. I wrote down the street name and backed out and went on to my mom's house.
Right.
Well, the next day at work, it came to me to enter the name into to Google.
Right.
And when I did that, the building came up, the big building where we are now,
Right.
the home office of
Right.
Senior Life. It came up. I said, oh, this is an insurance company. And then the name Ron Powell. I said, wow, this guy must be an insurance owner.
Right.
So the next thing I felt like doing was to give him a call. So I called to the
Right.
Yeah, I'm bold like that.
I see.
Can't be scared to ask.
Not at all.
So I called up here and asked to speak to him. And oddly, they put me right through to him. And I told him the same story I'm telling right now. And he stopped me mid-flight and said, wow, if you did all of that, you need to be selling life insurance.
Right.
He said, come up here one day, I'm gonna let my guys show you the ropes. So I came up here one day and spent a half a day at the old office across the street, and I was blown away. I never knew how lucrative the insurance business was.
Right.
You know, I have an uncle that's been in it about 38 years, and he's done great. All he drives is Mercedes, has owned 4 houses, but he never told me how lucrative the insurance business was. So that was the day that I got turned on to Senior Life in 2013. I left that day, and I didn't actually get my license until 2016.
Okay.
And when I got my license, I started with another company. Kind of had forgot about Senior Life, but it was that incident that gave me the first introduction to the final expense industry by Senior Life.
But what took, 3 years? After you see that initial introduction, you see this building. You mentioned you went to the old home office to do some training because this building wasn't even open just yet. But you talked to Ron, who's extremely successful. So what was going on for 3 years before you decided to actually get licensed and get started?
Well, at that time I was already in the car business.
Right.
And I was having great success selling cars.
Okay.
I really was. And at one time I thought that was going to be the way my life would end as a car salesman, possibly a manager / trainer for one of the, like I work for Chrysler. Right. So for one of the corporations, that's what I was thinking. But after this incident of meeting Ron and like I said, kind of like faded away, but It was impactful because, again, I was fascinated with Ron and with his reputation, and then I was fascinated with the company and the way this business operates, and so it had an impact on me. But when I finally got my license in 2016, I had started with another company and had kind of forgot about Senior Life, but they didn't forget about me.
Right. Well, no, they did not. But it took 3 years. Why did it take 3 years to get into final expense from selling cars? Were you just doing very well with the cars at the time? Was your sales?
I was. I got in the car business in 1998. Well, I retired from Florida State University as a groundskeeper.
Okay.
After 10 and a half years. That was in 87. And then, I started in 87. I retired in 97, I'm sorry. So after I retired from Florida State, I got in the car business in 98. My first year in the car business, I made Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And Salesman of the Month about 16 times in that whole time frame from 98 up until 2014. And so I was enjoying cars.
Okay.
Loving it.
Right.
But there came a time where I really believe my business partner, my Lord and Savior,
Right.
Jesus Christ, turned the faucet off in the car business. My sales went dry.
Right.
I mean, the owner of the company, he was blown out because I used to sell a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Monthly and yearly. And he was like, Jesse, I don't understand how can a man sell all these cars and now you act like you can't sell nothing.
Right.
Well, what was happening, Thomas, it was time for me to move on with destiny. My time was up. And so I finally got out the car business in 2014 and then had forgot about the insurance industry, but decided to get back in 2016 to get my license, finally get my license. So after that first time of meeting Ron, I just totally put insurance to the side. I think that would happen.
I got you. It's interesting to me because I know that you have very strong religious convictions, and you don't look at, because I would think a person who's doing great in sales and for it to completely dry up, I wouldn't necessarily look at that as a blessing myself, especially not at the time. How did you look at it at the time? Did you have the foresight to realize that was actually a great thing that was happening to you, or was it tough at that time whenever that was all kind of ending?
You know what? At the time, I didn't, but let me tell you what happened. This is a true story.
Right.
Back in 1996, I went to a church one night in Santa Rosa Beach, a big, huge ministry. And every Friday night, they got something called School of the Holy Spirit. And this is where people from all over the country come to the church and get ministered to or prophesied to. I went this particular night in 96 and me and a couple of my friends from Tallahassee. And as we was riding to church that night, I said a prayer in my heart to the Lord. I said, Lord, I want you to speak to me tonight. Well, when we got to church, they broke us up into small groups. And about 5 of the ministers came to me. They said, what's your first name? I told them my name. They laid hands on me and began to pray.
Right.
After the prayer, this lady gives me a prophecy. And this is what she said. She said, Jesse, the Lord is showing me a picture of you standing in a huge parking lot filled with cars that need to be sold. And she said, you wasn't like the other salesman, but you was one that was selling all the cars. And then she said, Lord, why do you have Jesse selling cars? She said that he said, because I had put the words in his mouth and given him the ability to sell, he can sell anything. Well, after that night, they gave me that recording on cassette tape, and I have the actual prophecy today on my cell phone. I transferred it from the cassette tape on my cell phone. You can hear the lady talking to me and telling me these words.
Wow.
And so finally, when things begin to go dry up in the car business, at first it was kind of hard. I mean, I even got fired from the car business. And I remember the day that the manager said, Jesse, you got a moment? I said, oh, here we go. Because when they say you got a moment, and they call you in the office and it's 2 managers and yourself.
Right.
And they said, oh, we're going to have to let you go. Your sales have dried up. We're going to let you go. And I was about to cry.
Right.
And my mind said, don't you do that. Don't you do that.
Right.
Get a hold of yourself.
Right.
So I straightened up, walked out. And that was a way of pushing me to where I am now. Because now that I look back at it took all of that, and now I know what was happening. It was time for me to come into my next stage, next part of my life, and that is the final expense industry. And so I decided to get my license in 2016, and it took off.
So the lady prophesizes that you can do well at sales.
Yeah.
And that you will be gifted with the ability to sell anything.
Anything.
Was it difficult, though, in the beginning, in 2016, to go from the car business to go to selling insurance?
Not really, because the car business kind of got me right for insurance.
Okay.
Going to meetings.
Yeah.
How to sell. The 10 steps to a sale.
Right.
We went through that kind of stuff constantly. So I kind of knew in my mind that I could do this. I believed in my heart, I can do this.
Right.
And from day one, I started with this particular company in June 2016. And from June 2016 to December 2016, I was a top salesperson, top producer, should I say.
Oh, wow.
At this particular company.
Right.
All right, which we call no names.
Right.
And then I left that company and started with, in 2017, with the company I just left.
Right.
And was top producer from 2017 up until January of this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I really believe, and every time when I have success, awards, the amount of insurance I sell, the money I make, my mind always goes back to the prophecy.
Wow.
And sometimes I pull out and listen to it.
Right.
Because how can somebody that don't know you tell you something 2 years in advance and it comes to pass unless they really heard from God? Because only God knows the future. So that's one of the main reasons I think that I believe I'm having the kind of success I've had in cars and now insurance, because it's been part of my destiny. Wow. That's why I really believe that.
Wow. But if you're, so the company you start with and then the second company, you're doing extremely well. Top agent continuously for not just days, months, but for literally for years.
Yep.
Why would you even come to Senior Life? It seems like you would be doing pretty well.
Hey, I was at the other company, and I used to speak on the conference calls. I'm pro this company. I ain't never going nowhere. I said those words.
Right.
To over 500 agents listening.
Right.
And I meant it in my heart.
Absolutely.
I was happy where I was at the other company. I was making money. And so, again, I was happy.
Yeah.
And since I first met Senior Life in 2013, they remembered me and kept reaching out to me. I actually turned the offer down about at least 7 to 8 times before I finally said yes of this year.
7 or 8 times.
Yes.
So so you're doing good at the previous company. What is it about the 8th time? Why is that the moment? Why is that when you decide to come to Senior Life?
Again, I'm believing it's timing.
Yeah.
Destiny. The number 8, which is my number, represents new beginnings.
Okay, right.
Yep,
right.
yep. I was born in the month of August, the 8th month.
Yeah.
On the 26th day. So I have a real, that's why they call me the producer 8.
Yeah.
I have a real strong connection to that number.
Okay.
And that is one of the numbers that throughout the Bible God has used, like the number 7. And so I just believe timing. And then, what happened was Billy Pilcher.
Right.
Billy reached out to me. Up until the time I didn't know Billy.
Right.
He said the Lord spoke to him to go on Facebook, and he was scrolling. He saw me, and he said it came to him, reach out to this guy. And when Billy reached out to me, in my mind, I wanted to tell him, hey, I done been through this 7 or 8 times.
Right.
No, thank you.
Right.
But this time was different. As Billy says sometime, a kairos moment, which means a special timing, the right timing.
Definitely.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna come down here and talk with you guys. Came down here to Senior Life and spoke with Billy, Mr. Ron Powell, and Robert Shiver. And it's different now. I walk in the building, and I've been in this building before, but it's different.
Yeah.
And this time my heart is receptible to what is being said. So Mr. Ron Powell said, hey, Jesse, you're doing good at the other company. You're doing good. And if you want to just be a producer, stay there.
Right.
But if you really want to come over here, because we're looking for leaders and want to build a team, we'll help you. Come on. And he also brought to my attention, listen, right now you got 6, where you are, you got 6 people over you.
Yeah.
You at this particular contract. I can give you this.
Yeah.
And the light bulb came on.
Yeah.
That is true. I do have 6 people over me. But at the time, I wasn't thinking about it. I was
Right.
making money. I wasn't thinking about it.
Right.
The light bulb came on, but what really came on, I saw a glimpse with inside, building a team, really reaching to where I want to get. And then it came to me, you're getting older, so you need to take this opportunity.
Right.
And then I prayed about it. Now, that's the most important thing. Thomas, I try to do nothing without praying about it. There's a scripture in the Bible, Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't lean into your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. I prayed about it. And when the Lord spoke to my heart, I have orchestrated this. I have moved you to senior life. And my wife was on board.
Right.
Boom, that's all I needed.
That's all you needed.
That's all I needed. When I said I wasn't going to leave the other company and I was happy there, they wasn't doing me no wrong there, but it's all about God's will for your life and timing.
Right.
And seizing the moment. So that's what I've done.
And there it is. That's very powerful. And that's one thing I do appreciate and respect about you are your convictions, because they come from a very sincere place, and I really, you say what you mean, and
Yeah,
I think that's something that I respect a lot about you. You mentioned, you said your wife was on board. She was with you whenever you drove past Ron's house, right? Isn't that what you said? And then you guys actually are going to be hitting Jonah's downtown, and
yeah, she's coming to Thomasville.
Tell me about her. Like, all this, from the ups and downs to the transitions from companies and careers and everything. What has it meant to have her with you?
It means a whole lot. She's always been a strong supporter of mine. My wife is comes from the education. She's with the Leon County School Board.
Yeah.
About her 30 years.
Oh, wow.
PhD. Even me marrying her was a God thing.
Yeah.
Because we met three years prior before we actually got married.
Yeah, you told me that story before. Tell me that again, like how y'all met, because that's really neat.
It was back in the late 90s. I was on the south side of Tallahassee,
right,
sitting in front of Family Dollar, selling. I had a business back then called Creative Names, where you walk up to my table, I punch your first name in the computer.
Right.
It tells me the meaning of your first name, and then I put it on a keychain for you, or a mug, or a frame.
Right.
So she pulled up. She was a young teacher at the time, and she walked up to my table, and she caught my attention. I said, hello.
Right.
And we exchanged names, and that was it. The next time I saw her was in 2001. I was at the Civic Center at a school function, and my daddy was getting ready to receive Janitor of the Year award.
Right.
I'm sitting there with him, waiting for the event to get started, and I looked across the way, and I saw her. I said, there go that woman. I waved at her.
Right.
She waved at me. Nothing transpired.
Nothing.
But then in 2006, she came to the car dealership where I was working. And I was in the office talking with a manager, and behind him was a big glass window you can see on the lot.
Yeah.
And I saw her pulled up. I said, there she go. And I ran to the door to meet her. Now, she was coming to see another salesperson. She didn't know I worked there.
Right.
So because we hadn't seen each other since 2001. But that salesperson had went home, and he lived way out of town. And I said, well, I met at the door. She said, hey, how you doing? Good. Long time no see. She said, I didn't know you work here. I said, yeah. She said, I come to see so-and-so. I said, well, he's gone home. She said, I come to buy a car. You do. Sold her a car that night. And then 2 years later, dun, 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 we got married.
That's what's fascinating to me about the story of how you met your wife is that all those moments were so brief, yet her impact on you or on each other must have been like really profound. Because I'll meet somebody today and forget that I met them. You know what I mean? The next day, oh yeah, we met. But to see somebody and for those gaps, so kind of explain how profound it was, like whenever you saw her on those different occasions.
When you see the personality of Dr. Marsha Sanders,
right?
back then she was Dr. Marsha Glover.
Yeah,
man. From day one, she had an impact, and just brief encounter.
Yeah.
But when we finally got married, one day I was up in Vero Beach because she's from Vero Beach.
Okay.
She came to FAMU for college. We was up there. I was up there doing a revival, preaching a revival, and her mother put the word out that I was going to be preaching, and some of the ladies there were kin to my mom.
Oh wow!
And my mom didn't even know them.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law had put the word out that I was coming to town and that I was kin to this family. And they came to church that night. And after the preaching, they said, now, how are we related? I said, well, so-and-so. Yep, we related.
Wow.
And so by marrying the right woman, I found out I got family way in Vero Beach who my mom had never met on my mom's side.
Right.
That was another sign that, again, destiny, like the car business, now the insurance business,
right.
now this wife, all this was done by the hand of God.
Wow. That's amazing. And you said you were preaching down there. How'd you get into preaching? How did you get to actually getting on stage and speaking the word to?
Well, I've been a licensed ordained minister about 30 years now.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. So even as a young man, the call came on me. Where I wanted to be a rapper, I used to be a rapper,
right.
And I wanted to be a big time rap star.
Right.
God said, no, you're not gonna be no rap star. You're gonna be a preacher.
Kind of similar. The content's different, but it's similar.
Right. So I love preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and the call came. I accepted the call, and that's what I do.
That's one thing about you. The way you speak is very powerful. Because like I said, it comes from a very honest place, and you say it with so much conviction. So when we're talking about destiny, and we're talking about your time in the car business. A lot of people sell cars. Selling cars is a job that I have tons of friends that do it. I mean, everybody has a car. I mean, that's how you get to work. That's how you get around. What's the difference, though? Like, if somebody was selling cars right now and you were talking to them about final expense instead, what's the difference for you that would make final expense a better situation?
Big difference. When I sold cars, I had to be there Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Had to be there.
Yeah.
From 8 o'clock to 8 at night. And then if you take a lunch break, you can't be gone no hours. 30 minutes at the most.
Right.
And manager's on the phone calling you, hey, where you at? You got customer here.
Wow.
Man, I just left.
Right.
You got to throw food away and everything.
Yeah.
And get back, or somebody going to get your deal. Or the manager will say, if you're not back here by so-and-so, I'm splitting your deal. Oh, wow, really?
Wow. Right.
And so it's really a job. Now, final expense, I have my own business.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Right.
It's a graduation. I say to anybody who's selling cars, if you want to graduate to the next level, get your insurance license, start selling final expense life insurance. Because now I have control of my own business. I can work when I want to work. And now I'm a top producer. So just because I have the liberty to stay home, I don't stay home.
No, you do not.
Because I got a goal to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm on a time schedule,
Absolutely.
if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I just turned 54 August 26th. And so, hey, I may not have much time going forward like I did started out.
Right.
So, but it's a graduation. Now, my own business, and I'm helping people with something that I think is even more important than a car.
Right.
Life insurance.
Right.
Because when you look at the numbers of people who don't have any life insurance, I just lost my brother last week.
Yeah.
He was 51. But 3 years ago, he called me and said, hey, I need some insurance. I'm sad that he's gone, but he had insurance.
Right.
I was an insurance man. My dad didn't have to come out of pocket. Everything was taken care of. And so that made a big difference. And because I work here at Senior Life, Legacy Assurance, the casket came from here,
Wow.
the vault and the headstone.
Wow.
And so now when I'm talking to people about legacy insurance,
Right.
it took it to the whole nother level.
Definitely.
Whole nother level. But the insurance business is different from selling cars. Now you have your own business. You have control of your destiny. I'm helping families and individuals get coverage that they need. It's a big difference. Both are selling, but one I find even more rememberable or more meaningful.
Right.
Now, having a car is important too, but in my book, you need to have life insurance.
Yeah.
That's just number one top.
Yeah, definitely. Being a top producer at your previous company, when you came here, in just a short, like you came with the company, and then in a very short period was already putting up large numbers on the board. It happened extremely fast. Like, kind of explain to me though, because we always encourage for our agents to start growing their business and hiring people and recruiting. Well, what's the difference? Because a lot of people will produce very well, but not feel like they can manage somebody, not feel like they can recruit somebody. But why is it important to actually start thinking about that?
Well, let me tell you why it's important. When I felt God moving me into the final expense industry,
Right.
I prayed a specific prayer one night. And I said, Lord, I want you to give me supernatural, accelerated success. Key words, supernatural,
Yep.
accelerated, mean to speed up, success. And that is the only way I can explain from 2016 up until now. And then speaking about senior life, I started here February the 5th.
Yeah.
And from February the 5th up until now, I'll have issue right at $200,000.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a team of about 10 agents and building.
Yeah.
And it's just so much. It's just a difference. But I think about that prayer. It's been supernatural. It's been accelerated,
Right.
and it's been successful. And so, and another thing too. When I was at the other company, I was averaging 20 plus thousand a month.
Right.
And when I left there, the month I left the other company, I put up almost 26,000. Documented, put that up. And I came here with the mind that, hey, I want to continue the same thing at Senior Life, putting up big numbers. I told Billy Pilcher, my VP, I said, Billy, really before I get into recruiting heavily, let me come here and first establish myself
Right.
as a top producer.
Right.
So when I talk with recruits and potentials,
Yeah.
I can run down the numbers.
Right.
The numbers don't lie. Some people do.
So that's very true. That's very true.
And I find so many recruits I'm talking to, when I start putting up the numbers and the success I've had, they're like, wow, okay, I want to listen to you. They calling me at the Clip Blue. One guy called me yesterday. It's an honor to talk with you. I'm like, honor? He said, if you can come ride with me one day
Right.
and show me the Senior Life process, I'll come to you.
Wow.
That's what has happened. And so by coming to Senior Life, it's a whole nother level. My production has went up. My manager just called me today, Billy, and said, Jesse, you started February the 5th. And I called the home office. You've already made over $104,000 since February the 5th.
Since February the 5th. 8-9 months.
And we still got, 5 months or 4 months ago?
Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. Billy Pilcher's somebody I've known for a long time. I tease him when we were both juniors in high school. We had science class together, so I've known him for quite a while. And he's somebody that I have a lot of respect for. How important is it though? He's the type of leader that will pour into his agents. He believes in positive messages. He believes in checking in continuously. But how important is that as a leader for you, first of all, for that transition to have a leader that's willing to put that much into you?
See, God knew what he was doing. He had the right man to reach out to me, because the fact that we both are Christian brothers,
Right.
and he's a spiritual man himself.
Yep.
I call him Prophet Billy. He starts to laugh. I told my wife, and although he's younger than I am, I said, Billy is in a young body, but he got old man wisdom.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, definitely.
He really does. And he told me from day one, he said, Jesse, this is bigger than you. This is a Kairos moment. And what he said has been happening. It's been happening. So, because up until he said, I've heard of Kairos before, but when he said it now, it's a word that is really back in my mind.
Right.
Kairos.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing happening. So just the relationship that we have, we talk almost every day, and it's not always about insurance.
Right.
Him and his wife, Brittany, is me and my wife, friend.
Right.
Their newborn baby that's coming. I'm glad to hear about that, and we're excited for that. That's about to happen in their life.
Right.
So it's awesome. God knows how to hook the right people together. And there was, like I said, there was many others at Senior Life who reached out to me.
Right. That's where I was going with that.
But Billy, it's like it's a Bible verse that talks about, Jesus said this. He said, "My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they won't follow." Because they know not the voice of a stranger. That's what he said.
Right.
So Billy, when he spoke, because he's been destined to be in my life at this time, as my leader, I heard his voice. And I really heard the voice of God speaking through him to me that this is the next move for you. So I responded.
Right. There it is. With producing, the whole reason that we sell insurance, the whole reason that that's a part of it is to help families. That's the whole reason for everything, is to help families. But also when you recruit people, and now that you are recruiting and you're able to do that and build your business, what does it mean to change the life of an agent?
Oh man, that's so profound. I just brought on a young lady named Brandy Murray, and she just finished last month, first month in the business at Senior Life, top agent. I went and poured 3 days of training in her in Valdosta. And I said, and there was time when we was in a home, and she'd look at her. I said, Brandy, pay attention,
Right?
Because after the 3 days, I'm gone.
Right.
So you're gonna need to fly,
Right,
on your own.
Right.
I'm gonna get it, Jesse. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be top so-and-so. And the girl did it, and she's doing it now.
Wow.
And so that makes me feel good that I poured into her, because that's my goal now. I want to find men and women around the country that I can now show them how to do what I do.
Right.
And I want them to even be more successful than I am.
Yeah. How important is that to, like you said, you wanted to establish yourself with the company. Out the gate, you did big numbers, but you wanted to make sure, I guess, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, you wanted to make sure you knew what you were doing before you taught somebody. Some people come in and want to recruit right out the gate before they even start selling products with us. How important is that to know what it is, to know Senior Life and to know Final Expense and to know selling? How important is that before you even start teaching people?
When I listen to your top motivational speakers throughout the country, men or women, I first go by their track record.
Okay. Well, yeah, definitely.
Now, if you just telling me something you got off the internet,
Right.
But I was told a long time ago, experience is the best teacher.
Absolutely.
So I know one thing I've learned about recruiting: people will listen to you more if they can see your level of success first. You're trying to get me to come into a business. What has this business done for you?
Right.
And that's why I wanted to come out here and put up big numbers. I wanted to prove to Mr. Ron Powell, Billy Pilcher, and Robert Shiver that they're reaching out to me, they're investing in me was not a waste.
Right.
I wanted them to, they heard I was a top producer at the other company. Now they know I am.
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, that's always been big with me. I want to see what you've done. And that's how, and that's the same thing I'm telling potential recruits. When I start rolling down my success, I get their attention. Yeah. They're quiet. And I ask them, do I have your attention? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
And then I tell them, I want to show you how to do what I do.
Right.
And I'm going to help you be successful. And the track record goes a long way. That's why when our magazine comes out, The Scoop,
Yeah.
having my name in the magazine, having the name of my team, which is the Making Money and Wealth Building Team, having that in the magazine month after month speaks volumes, because I'm already thinking once COVID go away and we start having meetings around the country, I want to be able to have on hand documentation of my success to the audience in the room. Therefore, they'll listen to me. Right. That's why I went to the studio last year and created my first CD called The 8 Steps to Making Over $312,801.62 with a pen. Right. I created that because I want to have documentation that people can say, okay, Jesse Sanders, he's not a fake. Right. And that's why I wanted to produce a book and some other things, the podcast, all that is documentation of my success that I'm having in this business. And guess what? If I'm having it and all I have is a high school education, you can have it too. That's what I'm telling people.
Right. Wow. That's really amazing. When you talk about track records in Final Expense, one of the very best track records would probably be Ron Powell. Oh, yeah. Who started Senior Life Insurance Company. He's the president and now CEO of Senior Life, but he's somebody who you can personally call and that you've met with multiple times. How much of an impact does that have to know that you can actually go to Ron's office on just a regular day? Like you said, you called up here and you got transferred to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. One Sunday, he calls me at my house.
Right.
Hey, Jesse, this is Ron. How you doing, buddy? Ron, oh, hey, sir, how you doing? I'm like, at my other company, again, good company, but I never had that close connection to the top. Mm-hmm. You know, I would see them at the company trips from a distance.
Right.
But to have the cell phone of the owner of a major insurance company, and to see where he came from as a young man and now at his current age, multimillionaire, from a trailer to a mansion.
Yeah.
The guy's he's a success story.
Absolutely.
This building on 319 speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. And so I take pleasure in telling people where I work at. Go online, look us up.
Right.
So that's awesome to have his phone number, Billy Pilcher, Robert Shiver, have connection to the top people. Thomas Roach.
Right.
Have connection to the top people. Man, that goes a long way.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Scoop magazine. You were on the cover of the Scoop not too long ago. I don't know if it is the quickest an agent's made it to the cover, but it's definitely up there. I've been working on the Scoop in one capacity or another the entire time I've been here, and I can't recall anybody that made it there that fast. What did that mean to you that to get that kind of recognition so quickly?
Oh man, it was a great honor, privilege, because and that was one of my goals I had in my heart to make the Scoop. And Billy even said, "You're gonna be on the Scoop one day." Now, we didn't see it was gonna be this quick.
Right.
In the month of May, I mean, oh my God, the topic, the motivated minister.
Yeah.
Oh man, we didn't see it that quick, but now that it's just another testament of God's will for my life. He's blessing me. He's my business partner.
Yes.
I've been saying that from the other company up until now.
Right.
Jesus Christ is my business partner.
Right.
I gladly tell people that, and I cannot. Nobody can't tell me it's because of him that I'm having this kind of success along with these other things. But so to make the Scoop, that was a big honor. I can show my kids, my grandkids. Look at your granddaddy. Look what he did.
Right.
That goes a long way. So I encourage all agents out there, make it your aim to make the Scoop. That was my aim, to be in the magazines. The company I was at, I was in that magazine 28 times. Now here at Senior Life, the continuation, and this is just a whole nother level. The Scoop magazine, nice publication that's put out that throughout the whole nation. It's awesome.
Awesome. Wonderful. With that, after being in, I don't know if it was after, I don't know whenever the change actually came, but you changed your agency name. You mentioned it. What is it, and why did you change it to what you changed it to?
I thought hard on it. At first, it was called the Jesse Sanders Group.
Right.
But I thought to myself, I want to be even more attractive to the potential recruits. What is that people want to do? They want to make money.
Right.
Who don't want to build long-term wealth?
Right.
So I thought hard about it, and then it came to me, the Making Money and Wealth Building Team.
There you go.
That was the name.
There it is.
That was the name. Because it's not for me, it's for the potential recruit that hears it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be part of that team. I want to make money. I want to build wealth.
Yeah.
And so that's the purpose and the motto of the wealth building, the Making Money and Wealth Building Team, is to show people how to come in and make a lot of legal money selling final expense life insurance.
Right.
And build long-term wealth for them and their families.
There it is. So what's for your agency, what's the future look like?
It looks good. It looks good. Again, I foresee an agency that's producing over $2 million a month. I see myself traveling around the country once COVID lifts, traveling around and doing meetings, doing speakings at this and that event, just building and adding onto the Senior Life family and experiencing the wealth with my own personal life for me and my family. Part of my goal is to own several houses.
Definitely.
I want a nice house in Vero Beach by the ocean, where my wife is from. Love Vero Beach.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting myself in a position to be able to do that soon and very soon.
Very soon. Whenever you get the beach house, can I borrow it? Like,
Yeah, you're welcome to come. Yes, sir.
Just stay there for a weekend or something. That'd be awesome. Anytime we do the podcast, when we have our guests, I want to make sure that we never miss anything. So is there anything before we wrap it up today that you'd like to mention before we get out of here?
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a great honor. I'm so excited to see this broadcasted and put out there and be a blessing to others. So that's what I want to say.
That definitely, I do feel you are a blessing to others. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Just
Likewise.
The way that you talk is incredible. Like I said, you talk with so much conviction. You're just a very honest man, and you speak very honestly. And to see you put up those kinds of numbers and at the same time be incredibly humble.
Yes.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for you.
Thank you, sir.
And so I really appreciate you coming out today and shooting the podcast with us. I appreciate everything that you do for the company and just for the inspiration you give to me personally. I appreciate that as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So that will conclude this episode of All Fired Up. My friend Jesse is in the building, big numbers, building wealth. And like we always say, it's senior life all your life.